It's the Get Foxy show once again. Today's guest, Michelle Kuei. Michelle, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to reconnect with a friend.
You bet. Well, I had the pleasure of being on your Coffee Talk Live, which I think we should probably talk about that a little bit and let the listeners know how they can find that. But I wanted to have you on this show because you have one amazing story, and you're a life coach, you're a clinical pharmacist, but life wasn't all that great for you a while back. So would you let us in on that story?
Of course. So the question I get asked a lot is which one came first? Are you a life coach first or are you a pharmacist first? And I always tell people, I believe the pharmacist came first. And then later on, through my journey, I realized that for the longest time, I was my own life coach. And the reason why I said that is because when you go into a coaching relationship, initially there's that unawareness of where you are at your place. You know something is not working out and you're seeking for help. And for a very long time, for many years, I was struggling. I was crying for help. And I didn't have anybody. I didn't know that there's something called life coaching exists. I didn't know there's actually a thing. So for the longest time, I was just struggling, crying for help, and not knowing that there is a way out of things. And what it started was when I was 11 years old. First of all, I was born in Taiwan. I'm an immigrant to America. And when I was 11 years old, back in Taiwan, when I came off from school one day, there was a car accident that happened. And after that car accident, basically I am disabled. I can't walk without crutches. I can't walk really far without crutches. And so for a good 40 years of my life, I've been using crutches, and the way that I look, my physical appearance, I look very short, very petite. I'm only 4 feet 4 inches tall for an adult grown woman. And there, when you look at me, it's you can tell that there's something wrong with her. And I use the word something wrong with her because she doesn't look normal. And that is the first word that comes to my mind when I compare myself for the last 40 years of my life to everybody else who's surrounding me. Everywhere I look, no one looks the same way as I do. I open up my drawer, I open up my closet. There's not a single pair of jeans or clothing that I haven't altered in some way. So living in this space of I know I am different and I can't walk like everybody else, I can't run. I did a lot of self judgment on myself. So I was constantly beating myself up and telling myself, you know, yes, you may be smart, you may have got your doctor's degree here in pharmacy, but like look at you, how can you possibly think that you are someone who have a story to share? How dare you to even think that you have the capability of helping others to overcome what they're going through? So there's a lot of that self-judgment and self-talk going on all my life without me recognizing it. And this is the part where I really believe that I was a life coach along my whole journey without me even recognizing that was something that I've been doing and working through my entire life. So the accident took place, and I spent basically 4 years of my childhood after 11. So from 11 to 15 years old, I would spend a lot of time living alone in a recovery rehab center. I did a lot of physical therapy. And at the end, by the time they discharged me from the hospital, my doctor had given me a pair of metal brace to wear. And these metal brace to wear, they're really ugly. They're the most hideous pair of shoes I can possibly think of on this planet. And I would not recommend anybody to wear it. And I remember seeing that pair, and I thought, oh, all right, so this is my life. What am I gonna do? And they're heavy. They're very uncomfortable. In the summertime, I'm sweaty, and it just nothing can go to fit with this pair of brace that I'm wearing. And when I leave the house, people are looking at me and they're staring at me. And sometimes it's not what people said that hurt you the most, it's how people look at you. And just from the look, I took it as I am absolutely nothing in this world. I don't have any skills. I'm not as smart as I thought I would be, given that I didn't get the promotion at my job. I failed in every relationship. I failed to even pass on the second date. I could never get over on the second date. People would always say, Michelle, you're so nice. Let's just be friends. So I end up having a lot of rejection, not just in relationship, but also at work, in my personal life. Everywhere I go, I feel I'm being rejected. And that sense of being rejected by the surrounding, by the society, by friends or people around you, it makes you start to really doubting yourself, your worthiness, why you even exist. So it was so bad that I I had those ideas of maybe my life is not worth living, and maybe there is no purpose to my living. So I remember one night I was I was in the shower, and as the water was coming down, there was a razor on the side of the tub. And this is something that I had talked about in my book, because I think this is like the suicidal attempt is something so heavy, so deep that people don't really talk about it. People don't want to share, people don't want to know. And especially in a Chinese traditional family where suicide or even talking about depression is very frowned upon. So I never share any of my emotion with my family member. I was hiding all my emotion. I was crying in my bedroom, under cover, under my cover, never showed it to my parents, never showed it to my sibling. I was always that person who smiles a lot, who's very positive, always had that optimistic look. But deep down inside, I was really drowning. I was really in a really dark place. So I remember that night I picked up the razor and I was looking at it. I had this idea of, you know, I went through pharmacy school, so I know exactly the anatomy of our vein, how to cut it, how to do it right, so that I don't have to wake up. And it was to the point, my life was to the point where I wished that I didn't have to wake up. And that idea was just haunting me for a very long time, for many, many years, after all these rejections I have received from everywhere. And I remember looking at that razor. I had that idea of I know exactly how to cut. But a question came into my head in that moment. It was asking me, Michelle, is this what you want? Is this what you want with your life? And I remember when I heard that voice, I sat down on the side of the tub. I was just crying for a very long time. And I put the razor down and I had to get myself together. And I said, no, this is not what I want. I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to put that shame onto my family. I don't want it to be a shock. And I'm the kind of person who hide all these emotional feelings so well that no one around me can tell. I have this like under this invisible cover that I hide all my feelings underneath it so well that it's really difficult to actually believe that that was what I was going through. And I didn't know that was what I was going through until later on when I was 40. That year when I was 40, I woke up one day, I had that same feeling again, that just desperation, crying for help. I woke up in the middle of the night, I was crying. And again, there's that voice that came to me and said, is this the life that you want? And I remember answering that voice, no, absolutely not. And so the next day when I woke up, I went out, I went to Target, and I bought myself a balancing ball, one of those exercise ball. I told myself, you know, I'm physically challenged. I can run. I have never stepped into the gym. And here I am, I'm not feeling good about myself. There's a lot of medical issue that start surfacing up. My cholesterol was high. I was gaining weight. So I need to do something. And that idea of doing something was going out there, get myself an exercise ball, bring it back home. And I sat on it for a week. I really sat on it and just rocking for a week. I said, well, okay, so I can't run, but the least I can do is maybe just rocking back and forth and see if that would help with losing weight. Of course it didn't. That's like probably the most passive way of doing exercise, just rocking on a balancing ball. But that got me, it led me to do more thinking. And as I was rocking, I thought, well, okay, so I don't know how to exercise. Maybe I can go to a gym and maybe I can sign up or hire a personal trainer. Because at that point, I was consuming a lot of social media information. So I see all these beautiful women on their social media. They're sharing their six pack. They're sharing how beautiful they are. And I want to be like them. And in the past, I was using their image to shaming myself. But that moment, I was thinking, if I put my mind to it, if I set my goal to it, I'm sure I can get the six packs. Like, who would have thought that someone who has disability can have six pack? Well, let's work on that. So I went into the gym and I signed up as a member and I hired myself a personal trainer. I said, listen, I need you to work with me because I have never walked on a treadmill before. I don't know how to do exercise and I don't know any of your machine here. So I need you to show me how to do it correctly so I don't hurt myself. So that was the whole purpose of hiring a personal trainer, just to get myself into shape or some kind of shape. I was becoming this round shape. And, quite honestly, we all in some kind of shape.
Shape.
Yeah, we're in shape. Where I was just getting to the round shape. So I said, listen, I need you to help me and work with me. So we start working together. And I remember during that time, a lot of my friends are going to going on a trip. They take annual vacation. So they went to Peru. And when they are in Peru, they went to hike. And where did they hike? They hiked to Machu Picchu. So I heard that and I wanted to participate in that conversation because I was so done of being rejected, being left out in a conversation, even just a simple conversation about sports, about dating, about any type of activity that normal individual would involve. I want to be part of that. And that feeling of I want to be part of something, that belonging, draw me to talking to my personal trainer. And I said, listen, here's what I need you to do because I have this goal now. And he said, oh, great, that's here your goal. It's all about achieving your goals, right? So he said, what's your goal? I said, well, I'm planning to hike. He said, great, let's go hike. Where do you want to hike? And he was under the impression that it's going to be one of those little hills. Little did he know, my goal was to hike Machu Picchu. I remember seeing his eye wide open and his jaw just dropped. He said, well, Michelle, even for someone who doesn't walk with crutches, it's a big struggle. You know that, right? I said, well, I'm here and I'm working with you, so let's go. So I was really determined. I think what really got me well on this path is there's three things that I have really learned on my journey. And those three things are, authenticity, bravery, and connection. Connection is whether or not we're connecting to ourselves and also connecting to everything that's happening around us. And authenticity is really about how true can you be to yourself, how honest can you be with yourself. And it's a hard balance between the two, because a lot of time, we don't want to be honest because we feel that it might offend someone, or it might hurt us because we want to have ourselves protected. So when you do that, when you're not being honest, it doesn't feel very authentic. And so when that was the stage of my life where I started to feel that I wasn't being authentic to myself, and I wasn't authentic to all these people around me. So I decided to, take out my bravery, which is B, to actually face whatever that I was fearing. And what was the fear inside of me was that fear of being judged. So I stood out of my comfort. I actually stepped out of my comfort zone, and I told my personal trainer, I'm ready. I'm ready to take ownership of who I am, and I am going to hike that Machu Picchu. So I was really lucky that to have someone who's really supportive. My personal trainer was really supportive, and he said, "Great, let's get to it." And so ever since then, when I brought it up, we every week we would go through the training, and every week I would take my backpack. I would go and hike in a mountain here, just to get myself used to the fact that I'm using those crutches to do a push up, to walk up in the ascending trend. So all that I did. So in September 2016, I booked myself a ticket to Peru, and I hiked through the Inca Trail, which is 4 days. 4 days trail. It's a total of 26-mile trails altogether. So I was so inspired after that trip. I came home, and then it dawned on me that all this experience that I had been going through, it was really to get me to recognize what my life purpose is. And so, as I was mentioning earlier, I think I truly believe that I am a life coach all my life, and what I was doing was reaching to that level of wisdom, that level of consciousness, so that I can actually recognize what is it that I was going through, and how my physical disability show up in many, many different ways in everyone's life. So for me, it was a very apparent physical disability. But for someone else, it's an invisible disability that they are dealing with inside of them. And we all go through this journey where we begin to realize that there's no one else around us who's going to come and save us. It's really you. You have to call upon the hero inside of you to come out and take a firm stand, put your foot down, and say, this is it. I am done with this. I am done with living this way, and I'm ready to take ownership of my own life. And so when I came back, I was really inspired, and it brought me to looking into a more kind of like really a solidified way of bringing these knowledge, bringing these skills. And I wanted to have actually the proper framework to support others going through their journey. So I signed up, I enrolled myself to a coaching program. I spent a year of training through that coaching program. And today I am certified life coach. And the reason why I started the live show is because I believe that every single one of us have a hero inside of us. And that hero was not someone who had recognized their journey in the first place. The hero, as we all know, how the story goes, right? The story always goes that someone in an ordinary life, somewhere in the village, that hero step into their truth, step into their true power, step into their true ability to fight the villains in their lives. And to me, every one of us have that journey. We are on that journey, and you are that hero.
So you've seen some pretty amazing transformation in your own life, and now you're working with others And I'm betting you've probably seen some pretty amazing transitions in and transformations in others' lives. Can you tell me a little bit about just maybe one person that you've served where you've seen just an amazing transformation?
Absolutely. So I have this client that I've been working with. She reached out to me out of the blue, and she's been thinking about working with a life coach for a very long time, but she never took into action. And this is something that I find a lot of people are struggling with, is that they are not sure if they should be taking action in working with the coach. All of them believe that, if people can do it, I can do it. I can just push through and push hard. I can get through this. But every now and then they find themselves in a place where, I'm really struggling. And this client of mine, she actually took the action to reach out. She's been thinking about it. Maybe I should work with somebody. So she's been thinking about it. And when she finally reached out, what she came to me for was because of that lack of self-confidence. She's always find herself, she works in a restaurant and she waited people at a restaurant. And when she first came to me, she was at the edge of losing her job. She was looking in a transition to job. So she came to me and she said, I need your help to finding a new job. And that was the initial goal. But then when we start working together, there was something deeper that needed to be addressed. So it's not the career change that she was looking for. It's really about her own self-confidence, her self-esteem that we needed to find, we needed to cultivate before we can even talk about the career change. Because this is how she was describing. She would go into a social meeting, and the minute that she walked in, she felt shy. She doesn't want to participate in the conversation. She's very introverted, and she doesn't feel comfortable sharing her opinion because she never know that whether or not people would like what she shared. So she's always that person who is invisible in the room. Right? She take all her chance not speak up. So as we were working, she's been working with me for the last 6 7 months. And the other day she was telling me, she's actually opened up her own business right now during the pandemic. This is something that we have worked together. So instead of actually going to a different career, she decided, I'm going to take it to the next level. I'm going to open my own business. I said, great, let's work on that. So she's in a bookkeeping business. And she was sharing this to me the other day. She said she's working with a nonprofit organization. And the other day, they had a discussion about whether or not to transition into an online bookkeeping program. And she spoke up. Like in the middle of the conversation, she put her foot down and she said, if you want to work with me together, then this is what I think it needs to be done. And she said, I felt really shocked afterwards when I said that because I would never have said that. And I think it brings me a lot of joy when I hear that because it really shows that she's taking ownership of her own life and she's being honest, she's stepping into her authenticity, and she's actually being in charge. And that's the most beautiful transformation that I can possibly witness, just by being a bystander. I'm just sitting here and I'm just helping her to uncover some of the thoughts and perspective that she hasn't thought about. And initially she was thinking, well, I need a new job. Great. Now she's a business owner.
That's fantastic. I love hearing stories of such beautiful transformation like that.
It,
Now,
it gives me chills sometimes. It's
very
like you're sitting in a conversation and many times I still have that self-doubt. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I wonder if I can bring any impact into this person's life. And the truth of the matter is that you do. Like even you and I were sitting here having a conversation, there's some impact or influence that we are going to leave into each other's heart. There's that imprint that we're printing into each other's heart that we don't even know about. And same thing with the way that we interact with the whole entire world every day. We're influencing each other by leaving something with that person. And I remember those times where, I would talk to someone and I don't get to talk to them for like years or months, and suddenly they send me a text or send me an email and they say, "Hey, Michelle, I just want you to know that, the conversation I had you with like a long time ago, this is what happened. This is the change that you have made for me." And I am constantly getting people to share that with me. Even on Facebook, sometimes people will send me messages, and they're so touched by a post that I share, or a sentence or quote that I share. And so you start to recognize, oh my gosh, yes, just by me stepping into recognizing who I am, I have so much a positive influence for someone else. And that is my whole purpose of, of being here on this world in this lifetime, is to inspire someone so that they can start taking action. And
Speaking of,
whether it leads to a business transaction, that's not the point. The point is you're leaving an influence, impact into someone else's life.
speaking of that impact, how do people find out more about you and your work?
They can come and visit me on my website, elevatelifecoaching.org, or the best way to reach me is actually on my social media. So they can find me on Facebook at Coach Michelle Kuei, or Elevate Life Coach on Instagram.
Excellent. We'll have all of those links on the show notes. And Michelle, I'd like to ask you the question I ask all my guests. And that is, what does Foxy and being Foxy mean to you?
Hmm. So the word foxy, for some reason, I have this image of a female foxy with the tail really high, and it's walking across the meadow with grace, with ease, with pride. And it's white. It's a white foxy. I think it's a symbol of pure, a symbol of calm, a symbol of peace, and that pride. You know, being able to speak up is such a pride that we can all take in our lives. So that's also what confidence means to me.
And when you haven't felt that foxiness, that confidence, what do you do to reclaim it?
I show myself a lot of compassion. So I may be in a foxy hole, but that's okay. I light up my candle and maybe make myself a hot chocolate, um, and I wait for it. I allow the time. I give the permission to have it to come back to me when it's ready. And I think we all need that kind of self compassion to allow it to come back, and just be patient. There's hunters waiting outside the foxy hole, and all you have to do is just be patient.
There we go. Patience, self compassion, and that fox will return.
Yep, yep.
Fantastic. Well, Michelle, if you can believe it, our time's already up.
It's
I have to say, I love talking to you so much. You have such an innate wisdom about the human situation. And so I really respect you and honor you for the work that you're doing and helping people create more transformation, positive transformation in their lives. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Terry. It's a pleasure to be here.